Hello everyone, my name is Jonathan Moeller, and today I'm going to show you how I created the cover for my epic fantasy novel Blade of Wraiths using Photoshop and DAZ Studio and some stock images. Here you can see the finished cover with all the layers visible. So what I'm going to do now is turn off all the layers and then go through them one by one to show you what I did and why I did it to create the cover image that we see before us. So here we are with all the layers turned off, and now let's go through them one by one and see why I did them. First up is what I usually call the backfill layer, and that is just a black layer that makes it easier to see elements against a black background instead of a white one. Next up is a stock photo of, that is, I believe, Lincoln Cathedral in the United Kingdom, and I got that off a stock photo site, a reputable stock photo site, dreamtime.com. And then I made some adjustments to it with blurring the background a bit and adjusting the color layers to make it work for the sort of gloomy ambiance I wanted for the cover. Next up is a blue clipping mask set to an overlay and dialed down to 40% opacity to help go with the overall blue tone of the color. Next is a color lookup to create the illusion that is night within the background. Next up is this layer that creates sort of a background haze with the magical sword effect will be same layer. This layer is another clipping mask set to overlay to change the color of that from black and white to blue. This is what I call a shadow focus layer. This is created by filling a layer with black, using the marquee tool to cut out a circular section of it, and then using Gaussian blur set to 275 or so. That way it creates a focus on the elements of the cover we want to look at, because you can see how it dials in attention towards the sort of the center. This layer is a back glow that accompanied the sword. This is the sword. This was rendered in DAZ Studio using elements I bought off the DAZ store. And you can see it's been, the clipping mask here has cut off the tip of the sword because we will need that for the next phase of the layer. Next up is the rocks that the sword is resting on and that later the skulls in the cover will be resting on. These were, again, a bundle of stock photo elements I purchased some years ago, and they came in handy now. Next up is a fire stock photo element to create the illusion of a flame dancing around the blade. And as you can see right now, it doesn't look quite right. So what we added was a clipping mask to create that eerie sort of blue fire we wanted. Next up is an additional layer of fire and another clipping mask to give it again that blue glow we want. This is the skull shadow layer. As you might recall, there are 4 skulls around there. 4 skulls on those rocks, and this creates the illusion of shadow beneath them. This also is where numbering your layers properly comes in handy, because there are 4 different skulls, and keeping track of them was a little challenging, and I could have honestly have done a better job of naming the layers. So here we have the first skull that was rendered in DAZ 3D, and then there's an additional layer to the skull that creates the illusion of light on it, because you see how now we have light and shadow, and then a clipping mask to make the lighted area blue as if it's the sword is casting light upon it. We did the same thing for skull number 2, 2 layers to create the illusion of shadow, and then a clipping mask to make it blue. Same thing with skull 3, 2 layers and then the clipping mask. And then the same thing with skull 5. This is again the labeling thing. Skull, I originally had a skull 4, but I didn't like the way it looked, so I deleted it and rendered a new skull, and that was named skull 5. And of course, all 5 of these skulls were rendered in DAZ 3D. Next up is the author name marquee. That just darkens the bottom of the image there to make it easier to see the author name. And as usual for the Blades of Ruin series, I use for the text texture a picture I took of my new fence that I got in 2025. Due to a windstorm, I had a fence that was destroyed and had to put in a new fence, which was very and vexatiously expensive, though it is much nicer than the old fence. So what I did was I took a picture of the fence after it had rained and then have been using that as the text texture for the Blades of Ruin series ever since, which I find satisfying on a personal level because that fence cost a lot of money that I didn't want to spend. And it looks pretty good, I think, with the text texture for the series, because I do think mono-colored text is very boring to the eye. And this way, we can see an interesting texture on the text that helps draw the eye to it. So we did the same thing with the title. As usual, the of is too small to have a texture applied to it, so I just matched the color. Same thing with Blade, and then this is Blades of Ruin number 4. So that is the complete cover for Blade of Wraiths and the decisions and tools I used to put it together. If you find the cover intriguing, check out the book. You can get the link to buy it on Amazon and Google Play and a few other stores in the notes for this video. So thank you. I hope you found this informative and have a good rest of your day.